Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality of the best hair. And with the ongoing theme of getting back on schedule, it's time to finally look at Candyman 3. I started looking at the Candyman series in October, the idea being to do them all. Then I didn't get to Candyman 2 until earlier this year, and, well, here we are. It's amazing how much you can accomplish if you lock yourself in a room and do nothing but write. But anyway, we actually have to get on the topic of Candyman 3 at some point. The first Candyman movie to be released straight to video, Candyman Day of the Dead follows Annie's daughter from the last movie, Caroline, now 20-some-odd years later. So around 2020, but it looks like the late 90s. This time, they're in East LA. The legend of the Candyman comes up, someone says his name 5 times, and suddenly people start getting murdered! So she needs to figure out the secret to destroying Candyman once and for all. Which I already did in the last movie, so that tells you how well this is going to fit into the mythos as a whole. Anyway, let's take a look at Candyman, Day of the Dead, and see if it at least still has a nice hook. We open up to our leading lady waking up into a dream, I guess. That would explain the glowy door and her ridiculously spacious apartment bathroom. This would be Caroline McKeever, played by Donna D'Errico of Baywatch fame, which explains the lack of pants. The spooky visions must only be the leaky tap, though. However, there was also a leaky hook in there as well! Oh shit, Tony Todd's speedrunning this paycheck. But it was all just a dream! Which she keeps in her art dream journal while giving a little voiceover explaining to the audience the origins of the Candyman. Sort of. She skips over a lot of it and summarizes Danny was a son of a slave, loved a white woman, people didn't like that, and tied him up, smearing honey all over him.
A swarm of bees attacked and killed him.
I guess it doesn't matter too much, it's gonna be retconned in a minute anyway. Hope we didn't pay too much attention last movie. Caroline explains this to her friend and roommate, Tamara, played by Alexia Robinson. She also mentions the Candyman part, and the summoning ritual and all that, but upon hearing that Caroline has never tried that...
I guess I'll just have to prove this to you. 5 times, right?
Before we go ahead and try to disprove this Candyman, maybe bring up all the horrible deaths that happened in the last 2 movies when people tried that. Utilizing their handy-dandy living room mirror, they call his name 4 times, and Caroline just says, forget it, he isn't real, and they move on with their lives. And we've got another beautiful day for you here in East LA with partially cloudy skies, highs in the mid-70s, and this afternoon we're looking at a possible swarm of murderous bees that will kill the shit out of you. Now let's move over to the East Coast with those mysterious moving gargoyle statues with creepy. Creepy? Moving on, we quickly establish that Caroline, while living in East LA, must live an insanely insular existence as the locals have to explain to her the concept of the Day of the Dead, and hey, the celebration is just around the corner! Kinda like Mardi Gras in the last movie, but they didn't have to work nearly as hard to make it sound spooky.
Sweet to the sweet.
I mean, if we're going to invoke Candyman every time sweets are involved, when are we getting the Easter special? But wait! While Caroline got an exhibition for the works of Daniel Robitaille, it seems the gallery owner, Miguel Velasco, played by Mark Adarios, caught wind that their painter just so happened to be the Candyman. And as their showing coincides with the Day of the Dead, he'd be crazy not to capitalize on that. Caroline isn't happy about this, considering she wanted this exhibit to help show the world that Daniel was a fantastic painter and not the boogeyman they've turned him into.
I make a name for the gallery, and you get a lot more people to hear your side of the story, right?
Well, yeah, but it's kind of hard to follow up the gruesome tale of supernatural disembowelment with... Never mind all that. Look at these brushstrokes. It's also hard for Miguel to even hold the exhibition when we have to introduce our asshole cop for the movie, Samuel Kraft, played by Wade Williams.
All the paperwork's in back, but I'm sure you guys will find some way to bust my balls. You always do.
Yeah, your kind's always up to something.
Think maybe he's racist? After establishing himself as an antagonist, Kraft leaves and Miguel gets the show started by retelling the tale of the Candyman. Again.
It all began when a Confederate Army colonel hired the young black artist to paint the portrait of his only daughter.
Wait. A Confederate hired him. So Daniel Robitaille, born and raised in Louisiana, got hired by a Confederate from Illinois. Am I getting this right? I mean, we do remember all the traveling his corpse did in the last movie, right?
They fell in love. And it was a love as forbidden as it was passionate.
Well, I don't think it was the love they had so much of a problem with as the 13 inches of artistic license.
They tied him to a tree where his body was ravaged by bees.
Well, there's also the beating, the stripping, the honey, but in this version of events, the whole group just chanted Candyman at him, and after 5 times, he died.
Stories of the Candyman spread throughout the black population of the South.
Illinois. Where the hell are you from, Miguel? Quebec? Never mind Caroline's mirror. That doesn't happen in this version. Hatred and evil are what brought him back. However, mirrors are still very important to the Candyman legend.
Do any of you dare call his name?
Man, this is going so well. I can't wait for next month's Tsarist art exhibit where patrons can come to that table and try their hand at Russian roulette. Caroline does her best to follow that up by telling people not to pay any mind to those stupid superstitions. The art before them is real and is what Daniel Robitaille should be remembered as, a brilliant artist who put his all into every one of his paintings. Some more than others.
But what about the Candyman?
God damn it, Miguel, your 2 minutes are up. After enough peer pressure from him, Caroline finally says, fuck it, I'll say the goddamn name in the mirror 5 times and get this movie started already.
See? Nothing.
Do not tempt the powers of darkness!
Man, they really expected the audience not to have seen the last movie, didn't they? That's the same gag they pulled in the opening of Farewell to the Flesh. And just like then, this crazed Candyman freak is but an actor. David De La Paz, played by Jesus Garcia.
You're so fucked.
Yeah, I know. But you have to admit it was cool, right?
Not really, but at least it was something. We're almost 20 minutes in, and the body count hasn't even started yet. However, when Caroline angrily heads home on her own, the subway has more surprises than just a surprising lack of commuters for such a big city. She sees bees and Candyman. Well, would you look at that? The summoning ritual summoned the spectral slasher. You know, other horror icons have to find new ways to come back. Just saying. Anyway, Candyman does his slow, poetic speech telling her to believe, and knocking her out with his stage presence alone. However, when she goes to see Miguel, we are slowly given scenes of him enjoying the evening with a lady, as they were his last moments alive. And the body count has started. Sorry, I get excited. Discovering the bodies, Caroline screams and calls the police. Unfortunately, our helpful detective, Jamal Matthews, played by Ernie Hudson Jr., is superseded by Kraft, as he was technically already involved, showing up to harass Miguel at the gallery before all this happened.
Why don't you go shoot some hoops?
What the hell did you say to me?
Think maybe he's racist? Kraft questions Caroline, but is less interested in what she has to say and more in what his prejudices, cop hunches, have determined to be true.
He was an actor.
I have witnesses that say this guy went ballistic at the show.
It was an act. He was an actor.
I don't understand what you mean. Caroline, his skin was clearly brown. Not only that, but all the paintings at the gallery were stolen this morning. Well, can't help with that. It's kind of blacked out on a park bench at the time. However, when she returns home, she hears screaming. Trying to reach for her keys as effectively as an infomercial actor, she rushes home to help.
It's a horror movie.
Jeez, and I'm worried about what my neighbors think when I'm up on the roof doing a summer shout. This calls for a nice little breakdown and nightmare about her mother's suicide. Yeah, it turns out Annie wasn't okay after the last movie, and is now played by a completely different actress, Elizabeth Hayes. Seems her last night alive was spent telling Caroline that they need to destroy the myth of Candyman to end the curse. The curse she now believes is totally real.
Caroline, I saw him kill Mickey. No, you found their dead bodies. You couldn't deal with it, so your mind made up the rest.
Now, never mind the logic of it, we got to see him kill Mickey. Tamara doesn't believe in the ghost killer with a hook for a hand, but Caroline has another problem. Seems David somehow knows where she lives, and he's worried about the cops pinning the murder on him. What exactly did Caroline tell them?
Don't worry, I told them the truth.
What fucking planet do you live on?
I don't know, man. She's like 25 and just learned about Dia de los Muertos. David even knows about Kraft and how he's got a long stretch of police brutality charges against him and doesn't let things like truth or evidence prevent him from closing a case by pinning it on some random minority. But Caroline thinks that they can solve this case if they find the stolen paintings. So they head off together, right in the view of Kraft. So, that's gonna go well. Anyway, while David talks to Tino, played by Mike Moroff, Caroline is confronted once more by the Candyman!
Our story shall be one.
Who I can only guess is just doing his best to make sure he's got enough screen time in this movie. Her random screams and collapsing are a bit hard to explain, so she tells everything to David up to that point, and he accepts it, no questions asked. Besides, he's got a great idea to take care of that little family curse thing. A healer! Abuela, played by Lupe Ontiveros.
She can heal you. She can help you.
You know, I don't think so.
Now get your ass over for the spiritual cleansing before she gets the slipper. Oh well, no way to solve ancient family curses without resorting to vague clues that could mean anything.
Evil cannot exist without good.
Right, destroy all the good. Got it. But yeah, the A bleeds, she's fucking cursed, and the cop is still a racist asshole. Everything seems normal for the halfway point of the movie, so Caroline decides, hey, David, why don't you stay a while? That way we can have that cute scene where you teach me the rich Hispanic culture of taking tequila shots, and then we can get down to fucking.
You won't know true ecstasy until you have tasted death.
Dude! I know you're into jamming your hook up people's groins and letting her rip, but it's still pretty fucked up even for you. Seems you just kidnapped him right out from between her legs, and he's gonna kill David, leaving his daughter orphaned, unless Caroline lets him kill her. Waking up screaming, she tries to explain this to Tamara. She doesn't believe her, so... I gotta say, she was screaming a lot better when she was trying to impress a talent scout. And unfortunately, no, we don't remember that plot point and have the neighbors not call the police because they're used to it. This paints a massive target on Caroline's back as far as probable suspects go. She swears it was the Candyman, but hey, no one believes her.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit! Candyman!
I love teasing women whose family and friends are dead or missing. Makes the whole job so worthwhile. But Candyman does show up and kill the bastard! And toss Caroline the keys, giving her the chance to easily slip away. Gotta find out where Candyman has run off to and how to stop them so she can save David.
My altar awaits your sacrifice.
Who he's keeping around on those nice hooks in his back. Which, at least he's keeping them comfortable. As I've said before, that's not uncommon. People do that for fun. Trying to find out what she can do, she rushes back to David's grandmother and asks her directly.
Can I use your bathroom, please?
Hey, he might be trapped and dying, and the only person in the world his daughter has, but we gotta prioritize here. His daughter, who was established earlier just to establish she existed, is Christina, played by Nicole Contreras. Anyway, now that she's freshened up, Caroline brings up that whole grandson being kidnapped by Candyman and this curse really gotta be taken care of soon problem.
Evil cannot exist without good.
I know, I already made the joke about having to destroy all the good.
You must destroy the good.
Oh, that's not a joke, that's the plot. Okay, Caroline, gotta make that hard turn out from Paragon to Renegade. More specifically, the cure of this curse, fueled by hatred and evil, is to just do away with all the good that Daniel Robitaille has left in the world. Then he can't do evil. Obviously, this would be his paintings, but oh, damn it, that's right, they were stolen, and she has no idea where they are. But what's this? A handy-dandy phone that just so happens to know that Caroline is at Aguela's informs her that they just so happen to have that gang there that just so happen to steal all those paintings from earlier in this movie. So she heads out to meet them, but is pursued by Kraft. Fortunately, he can't help but pull his gun on anyone with a skin tone 2 shades too dark, delaying him.
Back off, Kraft! Get away from me, boy.
Aw. I mean, yay, but... it's hardly that character getting his comeuppance in a horror movie where we've already seen several people be disemboweled. Anyway, Caroline meets up with the gang to learn they'd be happy to get rid of those paintings. Seems since they swiped him, their lair has been the home of supernatural terrors. So she is brought down there. Alone, of course, because this was actually a trap. The gang doesn't want to give her the collection, but add her to it, as they are less a gang, but more a cult of Candyman, looking to honor Candyman on the Day of the Dead. Well, only one way to do that.
Candyman.
Whoa, hold on. Now, a cult of Candyman, that's actually a really interesting idea with a supernatural killer whose powers are tied to belief in him. But we've only got 15 minutes of movie left. What the hell are you going to do with them? Murder them all, of course. Who needs to explore the lore when you have a body count to rise? So when Caroline comes to, she finds them all dead and all the paintings missing. Fortunately, she already knows where to find Candyman, that handy-dandy Candyman lair over on Main Street. Deep inside, we have a little shrine to Candyman, set up by the man himself, covered in spare bones the prop department had kicking around. However, instead of just destroying the paintings like she knows she has to,
David?
she decides to rescue the David in distress, even though destroying the paintings is exactly what she has to do to rescue the David in distress. But hey, if she doesn't destroy the paintings, Candyman is still a problem. Which she figures out right quick when he shows up and does what Candyman does. Speak poetically about how she has to die and she will live forever in legend, immortal like him. Yeah, tell that to Helen and Annie. Fucking nobody talks about them anymore. But wait, that's right, Annie, Caroline's mom, who died. That reminds Caroline that she'd rather not die and gives her the drive to go forth and destroy the works of art by Daniel Robitaille. And with them, the Candyman. Once and for all. Until the next movie decides that the curse is actually tied to a pair of long johns that the man wore, and people are still calling his name into that mirror. But wait, before this ends, Kraft Macaroni and racism shows up to kill them both anyway.
I'm Candyman.
Detective Matthews, good to see you. How much of that did you catch? Just Kraft talking about being the Candyman, or maybe the paintings on fire and Candyman turning into this big sparkler as he just exploded everywhere and a lot of special effects. No? Just Kraft? Okay. That handy-dandy psycho babbling he gave was all the confession the police needed to wrap up this mystery. Kraft was the so-called Candyman all along, murdering people and causing hallucinations, I guess. With that, Candyman is finally dead.
There's no such thing as the Candyman.
But it was all just... What the hell just happened? I have no idea, but happy ending! Caroline and David are now together, celebrating the Day of the Dead by poor old Annie's gravestone. The end. Well, that was an ending. And another ending, and another ending, and then the ending after that one, then the fake ending, and then the ending. Anyway, that was Candyman 3, Day of the Dead. I gotta say, they did a good job at destroying the Candyman legend. Not that this is an absolutely abhorrent movie, mind you, but it is clearly below average. Being a straight-to-video sequel to a theatrical series will do that to a film. But while this movie can be at least average in terms of being a horror flick, as a Candyman movie, that's where it fails to deliver. When you look at it, though, it seems to have all the aspects of a Candyman movie. The urban legend, the curse, the family ties, the less-than-subtle exploration of racism in history in modern times. The thing is, these don't really fit together nearly as smoothly as in the previous films. For starters, the legend in the first movie persisted where Daniel was killed, in the second, where he was buried, in this one, in East LA, because that's where it was filmed. The curse in the first was from belief, then it was tied to a mirror, and now the paintings. The very different paintings. But hey, the family is also oddly different. Annie is played by a different actress, and her actions are so divorced from those of Annie in the second movie, it's hard to even consider them as being the same person. Finally, the exploration of racism was considerably sloppier. Rather than looking at subtleties or modern prejudices that elicit fear, we've got a cop who couldn't be more racist if he ran around in a white hood all movie being racist for the sake of it to Hispanics. Why Hispanics this time? Well, not for any connection to the Candyman legend, but because this movie was filmed in East LA. The movie as a whole, though, does do a decent job of being a slow burn horror flick, but unfortunately towards the end it just kind of went off the rails. The cult of Candyman seems like something that should have had a much bigger presence all film, but besides some background spots during the exhibit and their climactic death scene, they just aren't utilized. And the climax? Well, after a certain point it feels like the production just ran out of money. At the end of the day, Candyman 3, or Day of the Dead, or whatever you want to call it, is an okay horror movie, but a bad Candyman movie. Not terrible to check out if you simply must watch every Candyman movie ever made, but I'm not heartbroken that I couldn't find this on a higher quality format than DVD. Coming in at 2 cloudy afternoons with a chance of B's out of 5. And there we go. Another backlog review wrapped up. Another call I'm about to get from Creepy about all those crossovers we were supposed to do. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm Shado. And remember, don't say Candyman into a mirror 5 times. Mirrors are like the Todd Howard of horror movies. It just works.